What's up YouTube, and welcome to another draw along with me, where today we're going to draw this really minimalistic beach scene. As always, be sure to check out the requirements in the description down below. It will have the canvas size for today's design and also a link to the palette. There's no other brushes that you need, everything else is built in. So have some fun with it, and be sure to share your designs with me over on Instagram when you're done. There's links to all my socials also in the description down below. And with all that said, let's get started. So once you've created your canvas, the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is go up to our layers and we're going to tap on the background color. Once you do, you'll go ahead and get the palette here, and we're going to go ahead and change the background color to this color here in the top right corner. What we're then going to do is we're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this color here in the bottom right. Once you select that, we're going to go back to our layers and make sure we're on the empty layer. We're going to go up to our brush library. We're going to go to calligraphy and the monoline brush. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to simply draw in a circle in the middle of the screen. Now you want to just draw in a circle, doesn't matter what your pen size is. If you hold your pen down at the end, you'll get the shape editor, and if you pop one finger on the screen with the other hand, you'll be able to get the perfect circle. And we're just going to keep our finger down and make a circle roughly this size. If we then go ahead and grab our cursor, tap on your cursor and make sure snapping in the bottom left hand corner is turned on with this little toggle here. That will allow you to drag that into the center, and you'll eventually get two orange lines both vertically and horizontally to let you know you're smack bang in the center of your canvas. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drag the color from the top right into the outer space around the edge, and we're going to use this as almost like a cookie cutter shape to contain everything we draw underneath that layer and nicely within that boundary of a circle. So we're going to go up to our layers. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the sand layer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer at the top for a moment. We're then going to go to our colors and grab the first color in the palette in the top left hand corner. And then making sure our brush is still set to calligraphy and the monoline brush. Again, it doesn't necessarily matter what your brush size is, but we're going to create a beautiful little swooping line that's going to go from left to right and just peak at the top and come down here and then swoop out towards the bottom. So we're going to come across here, just let that swoop out, a bit like an S shape, like so. And then on this left side, I just need to go ahead and continue on my line just a little bit like so. And the other side has gone edge to edge. So now what I can do is I can drag and drop my color into that space. And then I can grab my layer and then drag this sand layer underneath our little circle cutout. And then this will now act as our sand that's going to sit right in front of us. We're going to grab our cursor for a moment and we're just going to reposition this while we've got the chance at this early stage. So something a little bit more like this. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. So this is what you're going to want to aim for. And then we're going to grab our cursor and we're just going to move this down a little bit and maybe potentially just rotate that round. So we've got a bit of a peak at the top here and it nicely drops down on itself on this left hand side. So a little bit something more like this. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. What we're then going to go ahead and do is go to our layers and start duplicating this to create the shore. So we're going to swipe this layer to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two. Grab your colors. Grab the second color on your palette and then drag and drop it into the same space. Now you won't see any visual change, but if we look at our layers, we've got a different colored version underneath the one you can see. And then what we're going to do is just grab our cursor. We're going to move it up a little bit. And then we're going to grab this node here, the green one, to rotate it round. And then we're going to expose this little bit of a swoop here that runs off to the right hand side into the distance where it starts to get really thin. So if I tap on my cursor now, you can see what we're trying to achieve. It just gets really thin and runs off until this front layer sits right at the front. So it's the only thing left in this point here. But as you get closer to the camera here, we've got this little bit of shoreline. Now that's why your swoop that you initially create is quite important. So if you need to go back and adjust it, you may need to do that now. What we're then going to do is go up to our layers and repeat the process a couple of times. So swipe the layer that we just worked on to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one. Go up to your colors. Grab the third color. And then drag and drop that into the same space. Then grab your cursor and repeat the process. Move this layer up. Rotate with the green node at the top. And then move that down until this gap here mimics the same shape. So we're going to make sure that this is the same height as this one here. We can maybe even just move that up a little bit more just to make sure we see that little bit just run off into the distance. and then tap on your cursor when you're done. Let's then repeat the process a couple more times. So we're going to swipe layer 2 to the left again and duplicate it once more. The bottom one out the 2, grab your colors, grab the 4th color on that row, which is just white, and drag and drop it into the shape you were just working on. Then grab your cursor, move the layer up a little bit and rotate that round. This is going to act as the shoreline, and you can make this one a little bit thinner. We don't want this one to be quite so thick like the sand. We're going to have a nice thin strip in here, like so. So not quite a mimic of that shape. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. Then go up to your layers. Swipe this white layer to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the 2. Go up to your colors and let's grab this color here. So it's the 5th color on the top row, and drag and drop it into the shape you were just working on, which is the white one. And then grab your cursor and repeat the step of the sand. So move it up a little bit, and then rotate that round until we create the same sort of shape on this left hand side, but we can reveal just the tiniest little bit of blue just up in the distance there in the top right. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. We've got one more to do, so go up to your layers once more, swipe this layer to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the 2, go up to your colors and grab this 6th color here on that top row. This is the last one, and we drag and drop it into the shape. Grab your cursor once more, move that layer up and rotate that round just a little bit until we repeat that same sort of look, but you can leave a lot more blue now on that top edge if you wish, just like so. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. Just be aware that potentially you may have to adjust some of your line work on the side here if it didn't quite run off to the edge perfectly. Now the only thing I want to do is just adjust the angle of these a little bit more. So we're going to go up to our layers, and we're going to swipe from left to right on all the layers that we were just creating, everything up until that circle at the top there. Then grab your cursor and just rotate that round just a little bit more. We want to make sure that this runs off into the distance and has a little bit of a swoop at the top, and we reveal all of our beautiful little colors down here at the bottom left. So a little bit something more like this. Then tap on your cursor when you're done. What we're then going to do is introduce the horizon line. So go up to your layers. We're going to tap on the very bottom layer in front of our background color and create a new layer, and drag that underneath. Then go up to your colors, and that's what this final color here on that top row is. So it's the 7th color here. And then zooming out a little bit, we just want to make sure we run a horizontal line edge to edge that is just lower than the center point of the circle. So roughly here, and draw a line straight across and hold your finger down on the screen with the other hand, and then drag and drop your color in like so. And now the whole scene's come together quite well. Now we can go ahead and start introducing some elements in the sky. So let's go up to our layers. What we've now got is the horizon line that sits in front. So we're going to go ahead and create a new layer and drag it underneath. We're then going to go ahead and create 2 more empty layers. And from this one here, the one just underneath the horizon line, we're going to tap on the N and lower its opacity down to 5%. We're then going to tap on the next empty layer, tap on its N for normal and lower the opacity down to 10. And then the final one, tap on it, tap on the N and lower the opacity down to 15%. What we're then going to do is we're going to swipe on all 3 from left to right to select the other ones, group them together. So now in our layers, we're going to go up to the first one in this group, which is the one we set to 5%. And we're going to continue with our monoline brush and making sure our color is white by double tapping in the top left hand corner. We're going to introduce some haze lines. Now our haze lines just need to run edge to edge from side to side of the canvas. So just zoom out a little bit if you need to. And we're just going to introduce some very minimalistic, sort of nice wavy lines. Just run edge to edge like so, so that you can drag and drop your color in to the bottom half and you'll have filled in those nice haze lines. So the first one we do is going to be nice and short in terms of height. We don't want to make it too high straight away. We're then going to go to our layers and go down a layer to the one that we set to 10%. And repeat that, but adjust your lines. You obviously don't want to do the exact same line once again. So potentially from this side, I'm going to start a bit lower down and then just create a nice little swoop like so. And making sure if I don't go edge to edge, just from my end point somewhere, just move that all the way across by drawing a line straight across. And then drag and drop your color into that bottom half once again. One more time, we're going to go to our layers and the final layer in the group that we created at 15%. We're going to go ahead now and leave this space up here nice and isolated. So I'm going to create like a swoop that comes down from the top edge and then swoops out towards the right. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to start up here. I'm going to let that run into there and then off to the right hand side like so. And then drag and drop my color into that space. And now I've got some beautiful little haze lines in the distance. Now we group them together on purpose so that we can go to our layers. We can tap on the group and then tap on it and flatten it. So that's merged all three of those layers together into one. What we can now do is swipe the layer to the left and duplicate it. We'll just grab the top one for now and move it above the horizon line that's just above. If we then tap on this layer that we just moved and clip it to the horizon line, now what it will do is it will only show this layer within the boundary of this horizon line. And if I go up to my cursor now and we flip the layer vertically and then drag it up, you'll start to see our haze lines just start to reappear and reflect what you see above. So that gives you that nice reflective look. And I'm going to move mine up just a little bit more. We don't need to necessarily reflect all of it completely, just a little bit less is fine. And then make sure it's in the center. Tap on your cursor when you're done and you've got some beautiful reflections of haze. What we're now going to do is add the sun in the top left hand corner. So we're going to go up to our layers. We're going to go ahead and create a new layer exactly where we are, and it should not be clipped. If it is, just turn that off. We're going to go ahead and continuing with white and the monoline brush, we're just going to draw in a circle here in the top left hand corner, and again pop your finger on the screen to make sure it's a nice perfect circle and something roughly for size like that. Drag and drop your color in. Now at this point we're going to go up to our layers, and I just want to show you that you can save on your layer count if you're worried. If you pinch all of these layers together, which is the sand layer, the shoreline layers, and then this little extra swoop of color here as well. If you pinch all of those together, you can save on your layer count. So that's just in case you're worried about that at this stage. Now going back to the rest of the tutorial, we've got the sun. We swipe that layer to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two. Tap on the N and lower the opacity down of the layer until we hit 10%. What we're then going to do is grab our cursor. We're going to use the uniform option this time and scale this up in size till it's bigger than the original sun, and make sure we hit those blue lines to let us know we're in the center of that circle that we just created. Let's make it a little bit bigger than that, and again popping it in the center, and tap on your cursor when you're done, and then we get one ray from the sun. We're going to go ahead and go to our layers once more. This layer that we were just working on, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Either one of them, it doesn't matter, grab your cursor and again scale this one up so it mimics the circle that we had in before it. Tap on your cursor when you're done. And we've got one more to do, so go up to your layers, swipe this layer to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor and increase that size up, again mimicking the same sort of scale of growth in the circles as the other two. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. Now again, for your layers, if you're concerned about them, pinch all four of these circles here for the sun together. They can all be on one layer now. We've got to add in the boat now before we add in some nice little bit of color just to really make this pop right at the end. So we're going to go down to our layers. We've got the horizon line here and we've got the haze that sits on top of it. Tap on the haze and create a new layer. It will create a new layer and it shouldn't be clipped. Then go to your colors. This dark color here, the second from right on that top row, we're going to grab that. And we're going to go ahead and draw in our boat. Now my monoline brush is set to 12%. What we're going to do is we're going to create one sail first of all. So we're going to draw in a straight line up. Pop your finger on the screen to make sure it's a nice straight line and it's nice and vertical. And then we're going to go ahead and create the bottom half of the sail. So draw in another horizontal line and pop your finger on the screen. So you get something like that. And then from the top, just create a nice swooping line down towards that bottom point, like so. And then drag and drop your color in. Next, we can go up to our layers. Swipe this layer to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor and flip the layer horizontally. And then using the uniform option, just scale that down until you move it across. You end up with two sails back to back and one slightly smaller than the other. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. Then go to your layers once more and create another new layer. Once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and draw in the main body of the ship. So we're going to draw in a horizontal line across the screen. I'm actually going to reduce my brush size down to about 4% now. And then making sure that the gap that you draw here between your sails is the same sort of gap that you draw in between for your body. So something a little bit like this. Then at the end of the boat, we'll just simply drag this point down in a diagonal fashion. And then from the front of the boat, we're just going to create a nice little swoop that goes up towards the front. And then swoop that under itself like this. And then from your end point over here, draw in a straight line across. Don't worry if there's any excess, like so. And then fill in your gap like this. Then grab your selection tool, grab the rectangle option, and we're going to simply just draw in a box that cuts off a little bit of excess at the bottom there. Then go up to your layer, tap on the layer and use the option of clear. So what it's done there is it's told the layer this is a box and anything in this box we want to clear. Now you've got your boat, we can go ahead and zoom out a little bit. We can go to our layers and merge all three together by pinching all three like that. Then grab your cursor, we want to face it towards the sun, so we want to flip it horizontally like so. Tap on your cursor when you're done. Let's also go to the layer and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two, we're going to go to our cursor. We're going to flip it vertically and drag it down. And we're going to leave a little gap in between the boat and its shadow. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. And then go to your layer, tap on the N and lower its opacity down until you get something a little bit nice and faint, roughly around about 30%. And then tap away and you've got your reflection of your boat there. Look at that on the sea in the distance. How beautiful is that? Now there's two extra little steps we're going to introduce to add in some really punchy bits of color. We're going to go to our layers now. We're going to go down to the background color. So just the layer in front of the background color is the haze that sits there. We're going to create a new layer and then drag it underneath the haze that sits in the background. So this is the empty layer that sits in front of the background color. We're going to go up to our colors and grab the exact same color as the background, which is this one here in the top right. Then go to your selection tool. Use the rectangle option and use the option of color fill. We're going to draw in a box that goes across our horizon line like so, adding in this much space because we're working in the sky now, like so, and then tap away. Now you won't see any visual change just yet, but if we go back to the layer, change its layer option from normal and change it to overlay, you'll see a bright stripe in the middle. Ignore it for the minute because we're going to go up to our adjustments, Gaussian blur and swipe from left to right, and that will just add in a beautiful bit of color there on the horizon line. That's gone up to 30% on the Gaussian blur. And then tap on your adjustments when you're done. If anything, I could grab my cursor, grab the freeform option and scale that upwards just a little bit, adding in some more color up towards the sky there. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. And we've got one more little bit of color to add into the sea. So go up to your layers. You've got your horizon line here. Create a new layer. And it will drop in between the haze and the horizon line. Go to your colors, grab the 7th color here on that top row and repeat the same steps. Go to your selection tool, draw in the same box that you drew in beforehand, so a little box that runs edge to edge with color fill and rectangle turned on, little something like this. Then go to your layers, tap on the N and change it to overlay, and then go to your adjustments, Gaussian blur and swipe from left to right, adding in a little bit, something around sort of 18%. We haven't got a lot of space there on the sea level. And then tap on your adjustments when you're done. And there's one final extra little step you can add just to give this a little shadow underneath. So just go up to your layers, go right to the top and you've got your circle cutout, create a new layer, go to your colors, grab this dark tone here, the second from right on that top row. If you go to your selection tool now, we've still got color fill turned on, but if we use the ellipse version and then draw in a little ellipse like so, so quite a flat one, a little bit something like this, and let go. Tap on your selection tool when you're done, and then go to your adjustments. We're going to go to motion blur first of all and swipe directly left to right from the center, move that outwards and it will start to really disperse that shadow towards the edges, like that. And I've gone to 45% there. Then go to your adjustments once more by tapping on it twice. Go to Gaussian blur and swipe from left to right, just blending that out up to about 10% should do the trick. and then tap on your adjustments again once more, and then go to the layer, tap on the N and just lower the opacity down until it's nice and opaque, so something around about sort of 45%. Tap away, you should end up with a beautiful little shadow there underneath to make it look like this is floating just above. And then grab your cursor, maybe move that down just a smidge, but making sure it's also in the center, hitting that orange line to let us know everything has been nice and centered. Tap on your cursor when you're done and pinch with 2 fingers, go full screen with 4, and you end up with today's finished design. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please drop a like down below, helps the channel out an awful lot. And if you're new here, I post Procreate content every single week, so hit that subscribe button. And as always, a massive shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. I'll throw their names up on the screen now. Supporters over on Patreon get access to 3 exclusive tutorials every single month. Not only do patrons get exclusive tutorials, but they also get sneak peeks of upcoming designs, early access, and much more. So hit the link in the description down below to come and show your support. And as always, if you're interested in any of the equipment I'm using, the Sketchboard Pro that you can use code JOELCREATE to get yourself 10% off of, or a Paperlike screen cover that I use, or the pen tips grip and glove, there's links to all my equipment in the description. And with all that said, I'll see you in the next one.